It was the historic moment Donald Trump became President of the United States on a day that was filled with extraordinary pomp and pageantry.
God bless America.
He paid tribute to the Obamas.
They have been magnificent. Thank you.
But pointedly said not a word about Hillary Clinton. The seating arrangements mirrored the divisions in the nation. The Trump family were seated together on one side. Bill and Hillary were seated with the Bushes and the Obamas on the other. Keeping a long American tradition, the incoming president arrived at the White House for coffee and tea and was greeted by the Obamas.
Mr. President-elect, how are you? Good to see you. Congratulations.
Melania carried a Tiffany's gift box.
So nice to see you. How are you?
President Obama even gently teased President Trump.
Now we'll get used to the protocol.
The moment Melania handed over her gift to Michelle, a question began trending on social media. Hashtag, what's in the Tiffany's box? The inauguration ceremony was a poignant moment for the Clintons. Not long ago, they were certain this was going to be Hillary's inauguration day. Bill Clinton squeezed Hillary's hand for a moment as they walked down the Capitol corridor. As they emerged, there were shouts from supporters.
We're here for you.
President George W. Bush was welcomed with one of the biggest ovations of the day, shaking hands with old friends and strangers alike. President Obama and President Trump arrived at the Capitol together without a hint of tension between them.
Hello, everybody.
First Lady Melania looked stunning as she was escorted through the Capitol corridors by a Marine. When the new president came into view, he gave a thumbs-up sign to the cheering crowd. Within minutes of being sworn in, he was at work, signing the first official documents of his presidency. At the official luncheon, the president and his guests dined on steamed lobster, grilled bison, and apple pie. Trump made a point of seeking out Hillary Clinton and shaking hands with her. He appeared to be thanking her. Remarkable moments in an extraordinary day that will live in history.
Well, I just had the opportunity to have an excellent conversation with President-elect Trump. It was wide-ranging. We talked about some of the organizational issues in setting up the White House. We talked about foreign policy. We talked about domestic policy. And as I said last night, my number one priority in the coming 2 months is to try to facilitate a transition that ensures our president-elect is successful. And I have been very encouraged by the, I think, interest in President-elect Trump's wanting to work with my team around many of the issues that this great country faces, and I believe that it is important for all of us, regardless of party and regardless of political preferences, to now come together, work together to deal with the many challenges that we face. And in the meantime, Michelle has had a chance to greet the incoming First Lady, and we had an excellent conversation with her as well, and we want to make sure that they feel welcome as they prepare to make this transition. And most of all, I want to emphasize to you, Mr. President-elect, that we now are going to want to do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you succeed, then the country succeeds. Please.
Well, thank you very much, President Obama. This was a meeting that was going to last for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and we were just going to get to know each other. We had never met each other. I have great respect. The meeting lasted for almost an hour and a half. And it could have, as far as I'm concerned, it could have gone on for a lot longer. We really, we discussed a lot of different situations, some wonderful and some difficulties. I very much look forward to dealing with the president in the future, including counsel. He explained some of the difficulties, some of the the high-flying assets and some of the really great things that have been achieved. So, Mr. President, it was a great honor being with you, and I look forward to being with you many, many more times in the future. Thank you, sir.
In Akhenaten's poem, called The Great Hymn to the Aten, he calls Aten the creator, giver of life, and nurturing spirit of the world. In the poem, it also reflects Aten's love for humanity. It says, Aten bends low, near the earth, to watch over his creation. He takes his place in the sky for the same purpose. He wearies himself into the service of the creatures. He shines for them all. He gives them the sun and sends them the rain. The unborn child and the baby chick are cared for, and Akhenaten asks his divine father to lift up the creatures for his sake, so that they might aspire to the condition of perfection of his father Aten. Although the pharaohs of Egypt were thought to be living gods and divine, in this poem Akhenaten presents himself not as a god, but as the son of Aten, reinforcing the belief that Aten is the one and only god. This was the belief of Akhenaten, but he wouldn't have an easy time convincing all of Egypt to join him in his new religion. Initially, Akhenaten presented Aten to the Egyptian people as a variant of the supreme deity Amun-Ra, so that they could somewhat relate to what he was saying. But soon enough, all idols depicting Aten were banned and destroyed, as the unseen spirit of Aten could not be represented with anything created by man. During this time, Akhenaten began destroying and defacing the temples of the ancient Egyptian gods and disbanded their priesthoods. Soon enough, Akhenaten also began to build a new capital city. Today, it is known as Amarna. At the time of his birth, Egypt had two ancient capitals, Thebes, which was the religious center in the south, and Memphis, which was the political center 400 miles to the north. When Akhenaten began building his new city, he placed it far from the other two capital cities, on an isolated desert site. But why did he build his new capital there? The architecture of the remains of the city gives us some clues. A usual block of stone in ancient Egyptian masonry weighs about 2 tons, but the blocks in Akhenaten's new city weighed around 50 kg, which could be carried by 1 or 2 workers. Many architects and archaeologists have speculated that due to this, Akhenaten was in a rush to build his new city. This may be as Akhenaten's policies regarding religion grew stricter. The people of Thebes became increasingly hostile, which may have driven Akhenaten out to build a new utopia where he and all of his loyal followers could worship Aten. But there is also another reason. The ancient Egyptian temples were the pillars of the Egyptian economy, providing thousands of jobs for regular people. As the temples closed down, many people would lose their livelihoods and begin to live in extreme poverty. This presented a problem in Thebes, and Akhenaten couldn't solve the problem fast enough, so he abandoned the capital city, and with the seized assets of the temple, he could use them for the construction of his new capital. Many historians speculate that Akhenaten was the victim of assassination attempts due to him bankrupting many of the common people and because of his new religious ideas. These attempts on his life would be his breaking point that caused him to abandon Thebes. Akhenaten died after around 17 years of rule due to unknown circumstances, and his body was then placed in a tomb. In the years following the burial, his sarcophagus was destroyed and was left in the Akhenaten necropolis. Now, when it comes to modern day religion, there are many theories regarding Akhenaten. One such theory suggests that Moses was actually born into an Egyptian household rather than being born a Hebrew slave. The theory proposes that Moses had been a priest of Akhenaten who fled Egypt after the pharaoh's demise and continued the core of his ideologies through a different religion. Today, nothing remains of Akhenaten's capital city. When the pharaoh died, his religion and city died with him, left to be reclaimed by the desert. Most images and sculptures of Akhenaten were completely destroyed, and to the ancient Egyptians, destroying a king's image destroyed his place in the afterlife. This conveys an obsessive hatred to the man they once revered as a god on earth. They would bring down the temples dedicated to Aten. Akhenaten's image would be removed from any building, sculpture, or document that could be found. The Egyptians tried to erase his very existence, but fragments of his life are re-emerging from the desert. In 1907, a tomb was discovered with nothing inside, except a burial chamber with a body in it. There were 4 magical blocks around the sarcophagus, but this tomb was very strange, as the magical blocks were turned inwards instead of outwards. This means that whoever turned these blocks didn't want to protect the mummy from the outer world. They wanted to protect the outer world from whatever was inside the tomb. The depiction of the face on the coffin had been destroyed, leaving just one eye, and the name of the person in the tomb had been scratched out. There were strange inscriptions on the walls, saying, "The evil one shall not live again." Archaeologists and historians believe that this no doubt are the remains of Akhenaten's resting place. Some theories suggest that due to Akhenaten's unique appearance and religious beliefs, that he did not come from this world, as he introduced the first monotheistic religion to mankind, and because of this was shunned and erased from history. So who was Akhenaten?
It gets worse. Just this week, Michelle Bachmann actually predicted that I would bring about the biblical end of days. Now that's a legacy. That's big. I mean, Lincoln, Washington, they didn't do that.
My father was a great man. A hero, so they say. Sometimes the world doesn't need another hero. Sometimes what it needs is a monster.
My prince.
Oh, I've missed you.
Something troubles you.
The Sultan is preparing for battle and requires 1,000 boys for his army, including your son.
Run to your mother.
Look away!
You can't protect us.
I'll find a way.
I have been waiting an eternity for a man of your strength to arrive.
Welcome to your life.
What is it you are seeking?
I want the power to destroy my enemies and save my family.
There's no turning back.
Drink, Dracula.
Welcome to your life.
What's happening to you?
I'm the thing men fear, not a ghost, something else.
I see the devil inside him!
Do you think you are alive because you can fight? You are alive because of what I did to save you!
The world.
Never forget who I am.
Flamma eius, Lucifer matutinus inveniat,